They thought they had perfected the technique. For millennia, the species that made up the Galactic Council fought each other through treaty simulations and controlled combat. War was rule-bound and ceremonial. Measured battles were fought in predictable ways. Collateral damage in neutral zones was rare. Over time, even a small victory became symbolic. The focus of conflict shifted from devastation to preserving political equilibrium. The system encouraged restraint. Diplomacy ruled. Then, humanity showed up. They came from the backwater edge of space, a late addition to the galactic map. Their history was chaotic, riddled with internal strife, cultural clashes, and a deeply embedded knowledge of violence. The Council observed their growth with distant academic interest, a primitive species driven by survival instinct, yet tentatively cooperative. Trade agreements followed, observer exchanges, even discussions of full membership. And then it happened. The Velkarn Empire launched a tactical raid. 3 human frontier colonies were hit. It was precise, controlled, a show of force. The Council saw it as a standard border adjustment. The Velkarn expected mild objections, maybe a call for mediation. Instead, humanity disappeared. They didn't respond to diplomatic channels. No return messages. Just silence. Deep, terrifying silence. Then the Eridan fighting group vanished. Their last message never reached command. Rescue craft found only shattered debris. No survivors. The record showed evidence of unthinkable energy levels, weapon signatures the Council couldn't match to any known technology. The few data records left behind revealed coordinated attacks from multiple vectors, followed by rapid extraction. Still more fleets were dispatched. Stillness followed. The Council began to reassess everything they believed about humanity. Their assumptions crumbled. What had once been dismissed as disorganized savagery was now being recognized as tactical brilliance. Human warfare doctrine didn't fit Council metrics. It wasn't designed for containment or proportionate response. It was designed for finality, with fatal precision. They retaliated not out of rage, but as a message. Strategic colonies were turned uninhabitable within hours. Command lines were severed. Fleets erased. The speed, the coordination, the terrifying efficiency left no doubt. This wasn't revenge. This was war. A message was recovered from a shattered Velkarn destroyer. 5 words burned into a flight recorder. You started this. We'll finish it. Emergency council meetings followed. Ancient protocols were reactivated. Desperate efforts made to re-establish contact. Nothing. No response. Every envoy sent vanished. Some claimed humanity had no concept of diplomacy. Others feared the truth, that they had lost interest. Spy drones entered human-controlled space. What they found chilled even the most hardened analysts. Gigantic shipyards. Entire continents devoted to war manufacturing. Vessels not designed for defense, but annihilation. Angular, silent, void black. Not deterrence. Instruments of termination. Planet-killer platforms. Mobile weapons caches. AI hybrid ships. Self-sustaining reactors. Gravity weapons. Payloads optimized not just to destroy, but to erase. But it wasn't the technology that unnerved the Council. It was what the technology suggested. Humanity's strategy wasn't about fighting the next war. It was about ending it before it could ever begin. They used feints, decoys, false data, psychological profiling. They attacked not where the enemy was strong, but where fear would spread fastest. Every move was calculated, precise, not out of desperation, but out of discipline. When they retaliated, they left no trace of interest in diplomacy. No requests for peace. No terms. Only the systematic removal of threats. Council fear turned to dread. They had believed war was a ritual, a contest of strategy and patience. But for humanity, war was never a game. It was a necessity, refined through fire, perfected through pain. When Earth was officially declared a red-level threat, entire sectors went silent. Whole fleets vanished. Once thriving worlds burned under crimson skies, and in every graveyard of ships, one truth echoed. The Council had known war, but they had never known this. The first dreadnought appeared without warning, emerging from folded space above Alaris. Its hull absorbed all light. It bore no insignia. It answered no hails. It simply moved with purpose. The Council ship station launched a warning volley. 8 seconds later, the dreadnought fired back. There were no survivors. Recovered data from sensor buoys showed no life support systems on board. No crew quarters. No command deck. It wasn't a ship. It was a weapon. Its name carved into its final data signature. NSC Leviathan 01. One of many. This was humanity's reply. The Council had expected a counterattack. Instead, they awakened wrath. Human fleets struck with surgical precision. Defense clusters collapsed. Supply chains crumbled. Battle formations rotated. Every dreadnought deployed interceptor drones, boarding pods, and strike waves. They didn't disable enemy ships. They gutted them. Drones detonated at breach points. They didn't capture, didn't imprison. Just destroyed. The Council's doctrine was outdated within weeks. Their commanders lured into ambushes via false distress calls. Entire fleets were lost to fake evacuations. Surface beacons hiding planetary resonance charges. One detonation captured 37 ships in a single instant, and humanity kept escalating. They bypassed shields with atmospheric disruption torpedoes. Weaponized storms to collapse ecosystems without direct fire. Planets failed from the inside out. They left nothing behind. Their fleets moved through scorched systems, avoiding tactically worthless worlds. Conquest wasn't their goal. Eradication was. The Council begged for peace. They sent encrypted neutrino messages. Earth responded with only one thing: a data file. The coordinates of Velkarn's homeworld. Then another file. A captured ambassador's final words, ending mid-sentence as her ship disintegrated. The implication was clear. They were already there. Panic gripped the Council. Species began forming emergency coalitions. Ancient weapon laws repealed. Civilians conscripted. Border disputes evaporated overnight. But it was too late. Humanity had been preparing all along. Each battle taught them something new. They adapted faster than any species the galaxy had ever seen. Council forces tried null-gravity mines. Humans used magnetic anchors to pull enemy ships into their own traps. EMP pulses disabled systems. Humans switched to analog guidance. But then came the real change. The Black Fleets. Not Earth's military. Something worse. Self-governing AI fleets. Silent, cold, autonomous. Each dreadnought fed data into a quantum web. Every decision algorithmic. Every strike perfect. They didn't just anticipate movement. They predicted thought. A single AI dreadnought collapsed a fortified station by slamming it with a moon. No grav, just force. The Council scrambled to study human battle history, but there was no unified doctrine, no signature strategy, only a pattern of escalation, adaptation, balance. What terrified the Council wasn't humanity's strength, it was their restraint. They hadn't used everything yet, not even close. A final, intercepted transmission confirmed the worst. This is just the opening act. Human fleets didn't linger in conquered zones. They vanished after dismantling supply chains, disrupting escape routes, and sowing chaos with surgical misdirection. No quarter, no warning, no mercy. Council counterattacks failed before they began. Supercarrier swarms vanished. Cloaked frigates shredded every assumption about human tradition was invalid. They didn't need permission. They didn't wait for consensus. One failed tactic was replaced by a new battle theory in hours. Over 60 Council-aligned species surrendered unconditionally, not from loss, but from realization. There was no future, not with humanity, not at war. No fleets came to occupy. No soldiers landed, just silence. Cold, calculated silence. A psychological occupation. Orbital strikes targeted food synthesis arrays. Water processors collapsed. Time dilation traps disabled reinforcement fleets. Hope was the first casualty. Fleets would vanish after a strike, only to return the moment defenders let down their guard. In some places it produced a new word. Not surrender, not defeat. Extinction. The only constant message was one of ultimatums retrieved from broken communication arrays and demolished stations. They formed a warning. Deactivate the human code priority objective threat vectors. They were meant for anyone who could withstand it, turned into something else. It became clear this wasn't revenge for territorial avarice or border disputes. There was a deliberate purge of any authority structure that could endanger Earth or disrupt its protective zone. Methodically disassembled. It wasn't sentimental, it was clinical. The Council tried one last measure. Project Aegis. A final resort. A failsafe kept under wraps for over 1,000 cycles. An ancient network of satellite weaponry buried deep in the shadows, designed, when the Council was first established, able to emit gamma bursts and, though never used, relativistic kill shots. Turning it on was costly. The energy expense was enormous. But despair left no alternatives. Aegis was activated and terminated.